Hello, Dr. Jimmy again. Who else? Well, I hadn't intended for this decrypting of the statements to be more than one video. But, you know, more than one person has commented in the past that I tend to ramble sometimes and don't get right to the point and take a little bit longer to say something than I should have said quickly to begin with. I cannot fault anyone for criticizing me on that way because it's pretty damn true. What can I say? The evidence is right here. All right. Nevertheless, and these videos won't even get uploaded now until after 10 o'clock because Doctor Who comes on at 9. I won't have time to get it on before then. So you wouldn't be watching this until later. Not that it really matters because you wouldn't know that if you were watching this, because you can't watch this until then. And oh, timey-wimey, never mind. Okay, enough of that. Continue decrypting comments. The previous video, I decrypted the 7 original statements that were made way back in early June, 2 of which, of course, were subsequently deleted. Actually, the entire video was deleted, but the 2 statements were remembered and talked about after that. So, then on June 18th, I posted a new video called The 7 Cryptic Statements 2.0. In that, 5 of the statements were the same as had been posted before that I've already discussed. And there were 2 entirely new ones to replace the one about the American Werewolf in London house and the Chupacabra house, both of which got scrapped. And they got scrapped for various reasons. No, I haven't actually heard any real official confirmation on why American Werewolf in London got scrapped, but here he goes, going off rambling again. Yeah, yes, I am. Yeah. But American Werewolf in London was originally made in 1980 by John Landis, Lycanthrope Pictures, a production company he made just for he founded just for the purposes of making that one film. They never made another film from Lycanthrope Pictures, and was released by Polygram Pictures, which was a small company back then, which no longer exists. Now, after that company folded, Universal picked up the rights of its entire back catalogue and has had, for release, you see, for release. So they have the rights to release American Werewolf in London in any format today, primarily home video, DVD, Blu-ray, etc. That's not the same thing as having full creative rights to the motion picture. But since people think of it as a Universal picture with the Universal logo on it, you know, they watch it as a Universal logo when it opens up, they don't get that Universal doesn't really have the full creative rights. Now, I don't know if this is the case, but it might have had something to do with it. It could be that A&D, when they came up with the house, didn't realize that Universal didn't have the full creative rights, and then when they realized and they had to go get them, there was some stumbling blocks, and they were forced to scrap the house. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I can see where it might have been very complicated because John Landis, who had the rights, sold part of the rights, that is the remake rights for the motion picture, to the Weinstein brothers and the Weinstein Company, which are currently planning to make a remake of American Werewolf in London right now. So that could very well be exactly what happened. I don't know for a fact, but my theory, based on the facts, is that it's probably something similar to that, if not exactly that entirely. Whatever the reason, the house had to be scrapped. It may even have started building it in June before they found out they couldn't do it, and then they had to scrap it. It was going to be in Soundstage 22. See. Now, the other one in Soundstage 44 that got scrapped was, of course, the Chupacabra one, and there was a very obvious reason why they had to scrap that. The parent, of course, as we all know, or should know by now, if you don't, well, then you haven't been paying attention. Go to Universal. There's a big hole in the ground! Anyway, basically, what happened is that someone higher up somewhere decided to push up the project of taking out that building, which was going to be torn down anyway, but taking it out and getting ready to install the new attraction, which we don't know what it is yet. Transformers! We don't know what it is yet. Just like we don't know about the other one, which is Harry Potter and the and Gringotts Bank. We don't know what that is, but at all, although we do. Anyway, but the attraction that's going in that spot where Soundstage 44, which is going to be a very transformative, very yeah, and that's no Shia LaBeouf. I'm telling you, it's really going to be transformative. Anyway, okay, enough of that silliness. Where the hell was I? Oh yeah, that house got scrapped, obviously, because the building came down and there was no place to put it. So they came up with a whole other idea for a different house altogether. And so we have 2 new houses that they had to come up with. So in 2.0, I added 2 new clues to replace the Dr. Pepper one and the Twins one. And the first replacement was pyramids. Pyramids. That was my statement. Pyramids, of course, refers to the house Welcome to Silent Hill, which is going to be located in Soundstage 22, where Werewolf was going to be. Now, Pyramid refers, of course, to the iconic figure of Pyramid Head, a character from the video games and the motion picture. Actually, is a character in the motion picture, but in the video games there are multiple Pyramid Heads, which are actually called the Red Pyramids. In the game, I believe. So there are more than one of them, thus pyramids, not just pyramid. I also knew that some people would think about Egyptian mummies or Mayan prophecies because of the pyramids in other cultures rather than Silent Hill games. I actually had to put another clue on one of the forums about there being, there was a hole here, it's gone now, in reference to someone talking about holes. To get the ball rolling on that one. The other statement that was new was called photograph, which replaced Twins. Photograph. Well, that was, of course, for the other proposed house at that time, which hadn't even been fully approved back on June 18th. It was described to me as a dead exposure type house with strobes, but without zombies. Instead of zombies, monsters. Hopefully, because the person who told me this said, hopefully, classic Universal monsters. It turned out that's exactly what it was. That is what they have got. And for a while it was touch and go whether they're going to actually do it, because where are they going to put it? That's why we were at only 6 houses for a little bit, and different people said they scrapped the house altogether, but turns out it was a go and it was eventually found a home for it. Not Soundstage 33, where they're going to have special event venue and they have very expensive floors, so they couldn't use that. But the parade building, they decided that they could use the parade building after all by taking all the Mardi Gras floats out. They can't do much about the daily floats they use for a Superstar. They still have to be in the front of the house. But the back part of the building, they can clear out the Mardi Gras floats and the Macy's stuff that's in there and wrap them up in plastic and put them in a temporary shelter, and then they have the back side of the parade building open. Yes, we're going in the back side sorry for this house. A little bit different than previous years. And what I didn't know when I made the photograph statement, photograph referring to dead exposure, of course, Charlie McPherson, what I didn't know for sure was that it would be in black and white to fit in with the old movies, and the flashing strobes are going to be cued into lightning flashes, so it's going to be rather neat and effective, like going back from the old gothic horror movies from the 30s, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, etc., with flashing and of course the black and white set pieces, which fit in with the whole dead exposure style anyway. It's going to be, I think, rather nifty. Okay, now I can start going on to the 8 statements I made on August 8th, except it's almost 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, I'm quitting this video, whether it's up to 15 minutes or not, because I have to go watch Doctor Who. Sorry. Alright, now, I have to give a little bit of disclaimer. Guy who told me about the houses, my most excellent source, who's been 100% right this year, last year, and many years before that. Best source I've ever had. Can't tell you more about him. But the one who gave me the information, or actually the ones who gave me the information from the 8 statements, multiple sources, some better than others, some of them a little spotty on the information, and some of them Some of it was they should have talked to each other and compared notes, because when they told me two different things, it turned out to be the same thing, but I thought it was two different things. See, that sort of thing happened. So things got a little, and of course things change, shit happens. So some of the info got shifted around a bit from what was originally told. But we'll discuss that when we get to it, what I actually thought, what I meant by the statement, and what has actually been revealed. Because I admit it when I get something a bit off. I don't try to cover my tracks or anything. I admit it when something's off, and then I tell you what it really is and why I thought it was that way, which was a silly mistake on my part. But you know, that's what I thought. Okay, so the 8 statements. The first one was free fallen, or free fallen, which, as you know, is the opening lyric from a song by the same name by Tom Petty on an album called Full Moon. Now, people thought, full moon, werewolves, which, of course, was a bit of a red herring, because that's not what I was getting at. Didn't know about the beast horde, by the way. None of my sources told me anything about the horde of beasts. Didn't find out about that until much later. Some of those beasts may very well be werewolfy, some may be other beasts. That's the most intriguing horde of the street experiences, and the eight statements refer to the street experiences, by the way, if you haven't figured that out already. But it turns out that there may actually be something wolfy there after all. I didn't know about it back then. No, I was trying to get at vampires. I was talking about the horde of vampires in that by the free fallen statement, because you see there's a lyric in that same song, all the vampires walking through the valley, head west on Ventura Boulevard. See, getting you that there were vampires involved, and also a little bit of another clue. That's Bob, by the way, Cat's here. Another little clue about it, and that's, although these are free-ranging hordes, like organic beef, free-ranging hordes of rotating characters that'll be all over the freaking place. Yes, Cat. They do sort of have locations where they might start out at that have been assigned to them, and I was aware of that. And if you go west on Ventura Boulevard through the valley, where did you come from to the east? Well, you know, if you go that way, you go to Cahuenga and Hollywood. Yes, in fact, Universal City, Studio City. So, as a matter of fact, I was pointing towards Hollywood Boulevard, where the vampires are supposed to be based, at least, if not for the whole evening and not for the whole event, at least to start out with. All right, it's 9 o'clock. I got to go watch Doctor Who.